Buddha reveals the secret to living in peace. Normally, we may become irritated by very trivial matters and blame something or someone. A friend, a secretary, the boss, a neighbor, children, siblings, parents, or the government. We get frustrated when we do not get what we want or lose something we cherish. We carry a kind of irritable mindset, the root of our suffering, that is easily triggered by circumstances or our thoughts. Then we suffer and try to prevent our suffering by attempting to change the entire world. There is an ancient story about a man who wanted to cover the entire world with leather so he could walk on the ground comfortably. He didn't realize how much easier it would be to make a pair of leather shoes to wear. Similarly, instead of trying to control the whole world to find happiness, we should strive to reduce our irritable mindset. However, you must truly work on yourself, not just read or think about it. Even meditation is not very beneficial if you do not follow the complete path, especially the critical elements of developing right view, making strong and wise efforts, and practicing continuous mindfulness. Many people sit on their meditation cushions for hours with minds full of suffering, anger, anxiety, or distraction. Then they say, "I can't meditate, I can't focus." That's because you're still carrying the whole world on your shoulders when you meditate, and you don't want to put it down. I heard that one of my disciples was walking while reading the book Mindfulness in plain English. He wasn't mindful of where he was and got hit by a car. The Buddha's invitation for us to come and see requires us to apply what we read here. Practice the Buddha's Noble Eightfold Path even as you read about it. Don't let suffering darken your mind. Reading this book 100 times won't help you unless you apply what is written here. Surely, this book will be truly useful if you wholeheartedly practice, thoroughly observe your suffering, and willingly do whatever it takes to achieve lasting happiness. The Buddha's discovery, rapid technological advancements, material growth, stress, life and work under the pressure of swift changes. Is this the 21st century? No, it's the 6th century BCE, a time of devastating wars, economic turmoil, and upheaval of established ways of life, much like today. Under conditions similar to ours, the Buddha discovered the path to lasting happiness. His discovery, a method of gradually training the mind to achieve liberation, remains as relevant today as it ever was. However, applying the Buddha's discoveries is not easy. It may take years. The most crucial element at the beginning is a strong will to change your life by adopting new habits and learning to see the world differently. Every step on the Buddha's path to happiness requires practicing mindfulness until it becomes a part of your daily life. Mindfulness is about training yourself to be aware of things as they truly are. With a mind always mindful, you progress through the 8 steps laid out by the Buddha over 2,500 years ago. A gentle, step-by-step training to eradicate suffering. Who wants to undertake such training? The answer is anyone who is weary of life's suffering. My life is fine as it is. I feel happy enough, you might think. Any life has moments of ease and joy. But what about the other moments? The ones you don't want to think about when things are not going well. The disasters, regrets, disappointments, physical pain, boredom, loneliness, remorse, the nagging feeling that there could be something better. These things happen too, don't they? Our fragile happiness depends on things going a certain way. But there is something else. A kind of happiness that does not depend on circumstances. The Buddha showed us the path to this complete happiness. If you are willing to do whatever it takes to find the way out of suffering, and that means facing the roots of greed, hatred, and delusion here and now, then you can achieve your goal. Even if you are just a casual reader, these teachings can be helpful if you are willing to practice what you find meaningful. If you see something that seems true, don't overlook it. Act on it. This is easier said than done, but there is nothing more challenging. When you tell yourself, "I need to transform to be happier," not because the Buddha said so, but because your heart recognizes a profound truth, you must give your all to make that transformation. You need a strong determination to overcome bad habits. And the reward is happiness, not just for today, but forever. Let's begin. We will start by examining what happiness is, why it is so elusive, and how to embark on the journey along the Buddha's path to happiness. The meaning of happiness. The desire to be happy is not unfamiliar to us, yet it often eludes us. What does it mean to be happy? We often seek to enjoy sensual pleasures such as good food or entertainment because they bring us happiness. But is there a type of happiness that transcends these fleeting moments of pleasure? Many people try to string together as many pleasurable moments as they can and call that a happy life. Others, recognizing the limitations of ordinary pleasures, seek a more lasting happiness through material comforts and stable family life. However, these sources of happiness also have their limitations. Around the world, many people live in suffering due to hunger. Their basic needs for clothing and shelter are not met. They endure the constant threat of violence. It's understandable that these individuals believe that material comfort will bring them happiness. In America, the unequal distribution of wealth may leave many living in poverty, but severe hunger and deprivation, as seen in other parts of the world, are less common. The standard of living for most Americans is quite high. Thus, people in other countries often think that Americans must be the happiest people on earth. But what would they see if they came to America? They would observe that Americans are always busy, rushing to appointments, constantly talking on mobile phones, frantically shopping for groceries and clothes, working long hours in offices or factories. Why are they in such a frenzied rush? The answer is simple. Although Americans seem to have everything, they still suffer greatly, and they too are puzzled by this. Why, with a stable family life, secure jobs, nice homes, many choices in life, and plenty of money, do they still not feel happy? They think that only the lack of these things causes suffering. On the contrary, having possessions, social recognition, love from friends and family, and comforts should surely bring happiness. So why do Americans, like people everywhere, often feel miserable? It seems that the very things we believe will bring us happiness are in fact the sources of our suffering. Why? Because they are impermanent. Relationships break down, investments fail, people lose their jobs, children grow up and leave home, and the satisfaction derived from material possessions and moments of pleasure is fleeting at best. Impermanence surrounds us, threatening the very things we believe we need for happiness. A paradoxical truth is that the more we have, the more we can suffer. Today, people have more refined demands, it's true, but no matter how many beautiful and expensive material possessions they have, they still want more. Modern culture fuels this insatiable desire. According to television commercials or billboards, what you really need to be happy is that shiny new car, that ultra-fast computer, or a sunny vacation in Hawaii. And these things may indeed bring a temporary thrill, but only briefly. People often mistake the excitement and exhilaration of acquiring something new or experiencing moments of pleasure for happiness. But soon, new desires arise. When the tan fades or the new car gets scratched, they start thinking about the next purchase. Their constant trips to the shopping malls prevent them from discovering the true source of happiness. The source of happiness. The Buddha describes several types of happiness, ranking them from the most mundane to the most exalted. The lower happiness of attachment. The Buddha classified nearly everything that most of us consider happiness into the lowest category. He called it the happiness of sensual pleasures. We might also call it the happiness of pleasant conditions, or the happiness of attachment. This includes all transient worldly happiness derived from indulging in sensual pleasures and satisfying physical and material desires, the happiness of possessing wealth, fashionable clothes, new cars, luxurious homes, the enjoyment of seeing beautiful sights, listening to music, tasting delicious food, and engaging in interesting conversations, the satisfaction of having artistic talents, playing musical instruments, or similar pursuits, and the happiness derived from sharing a warm family life. Let's take a closer look at the happiness of sensual pleasures. Its lowest state is complete immersion in the five senses. At its worst, this immersion can lead to degradation, corruption, and dependence. It is easy to recognize that indulgence in sensual pleasures is not true happiness, as the pleasure quickly fades and may leave one feeling bored or regretful. The Buddha taught that as people mature spiritually, they will understand that there are things in life far more noble than sensual pleasures. He used the image of a weak child bound by delicate strings at 5 points, 2 wrists, 2 ankles, and the neck. Just as these 5 strings, sensual desires, can bind a child but cannot restrain an adult who can easily break free, a mindful person will not become entangled in the desire for sensual indulgence and will be able to live a meaningful and happy life. However, there are worldly pleasures that surpass ordinary sensual indulgences, such as the enjoyment of reading books, watching movies, or other forms of entertainment that uplift the spirit. There are also higher worldly joys, such as helping others, maintaining a happy family, raising children, and earning a living honestly. The Buddha also acknowledged some forms of happiness that are more acceptable. This includes the happiness and contentment you feel when possessing material wealth that you have earned honestly and through hard work. You can enjoy your possessions with a clear conscience, without fear of retribution or harm. Even better is the happiness that comes from enjoying the wealth you have earned honestly while sharing it with others. Another special form of happiness comes from the realization that you owe nothing to anyone. Most of us, even the most conscientious individuals, consider these as the essence of a moral life. So why did the Buddha regard them as the lowest form of happiness? Because they depend on ideal conditions. Although not as fleeting as the momentary pleasures of the senses and less harmful to long-term happiness, they are not sustainable. The more we rely on them, the more we chase after them and try to cling to them, the more we suffer. Our efforts create a frustrated, unhappy mindset and ultimately prove futile. We cannot escape the changing circumstances. No matter what we do, we get hurt. There are higher, more enduring sources of happiness, the source of noble happiness. One of these sources of happiness is the happiness of renunciation, a form of spiritual happiness that arises from pursuing something beyond worldly pleasures. A familiar example is the joy that comes from relinquishing all worldly concerns and leading a solitary life in serene places to pursue spiritual development. Happiness derived from prayer, religious rituals, and the cultivation of faith in religion also belongs to this category. A generous heart is a powerful form of renunciation. Sharing what we have generously and engaging in various forms of renunciation brings us happiness. Every time we let go, we feel light and at ease. From this, we can infer that if we can completely let go of attachment to anything in the world, this broad renunciation will bring much more happiness than occasional acts of renunciation. Higher than the renunciation of material possessions is the happiness of letting go of mental afflictions. This type of happiness naturally arises when we train our minds to quickly let go of anger, desire, attachment, envy, pride, doubt, and other mental disturbances whenever they arise. Extinguishing them as soon as they arise helps the mind remain untroubled, filled with joy and clear. However, there is no guarantee that these impurities will not reappear and disturb our minds. Even better are the subtle joys and happiness found in deep meditative states. In these states, sorrow cannot arise. Although these meditative states can be transcendent and powerful, they still have a major drawback. Eventually, the meditator must emerge from meditation. Since all things are impermanent, even deep meditative states must come to an end. The highest source of happiness is the bliss achieved through various stages of enlightenment. At each stage, the burdens of life are lightened, and we experience greater liberation and happiness. The final stage of enlightenment, complete freedom from all negative mental states, brings us an unparalleled, uninterrupted source of happiness. The Buddha advises us to let go of attachments to lower forms of happiness and to focus all our efforts on seeking the highest happiness, which is enlightenment. However, the Buddha also encourages beings to cultivate their happiness to the highest degree at whatever level of enlightenment they can achieve. For those who see nothing beyond the happiness based on sensual pleasures, he offers sincere advice to steer clear of worldly defilements and to seek the optimal form of worldly happiness, such as by cultivating virtues that lead to material success or a harmonious family life. For those with higher aspirations who wish to be reborn in pure realms, he shows the way to achieve that goal. For those who aim for the ultimate goal of complete enlightenment, he teaches how to attain it. Regardless of the type of happiness pursued, we must practice according to the path of the Noble Eightfold Path. The trap of suffering The Buddha understood that the relentless pursuit of worldly pleasures binds us to an endless cycle of cause and effect, of love and hate. Each thought, word, or action is a cause that leads to an effect, and that effect becomes another cause. To show us how this cycle of suffering operates, the Buddha explained, due to feeling, craving arises. Due to craving, seeking arises. Due to seeking, gain arises. Due to gain, decision arises. Due to decision, desire arises. Due to desire, attachment arises. Due to attachment, possessiveness arises. Due to possessiveness, stinginess arises. Due to stinginess, guarding arises. And because of guarding, numerous evil and unwholesome states arise, such as quarreling, disputing and fighting, abusive speech, and falsehood. Each of us experiences stages of this cyclical process in our daily lives. For example, while in a supermarket, you see a delicious-looking cake with a red filling and white frosting. It is the last cake left. Just moments ago, your mind was calm and at peace, but upon seeing the cake, which the Buddha called contact between the senses and their objects, thoughts and feelings of pleasure arise in your mind. Then desire arises from this pleasant feeling. Strawberry cake, you think, with whipped cream on top. Your mind begins to chase after and elaborate on these pleasurable thoughts. Strawberry cake is delicious. How fragrant it must be. The whipped cream must melt in your mouth so wonderfully. A decision follows. I want that cake. Then attachment, craving arises. That cake is mine. You may recognize a moment of unease as your mind hesitates, considering the negative consequences the cake might have on your wallet or your waistline. Suddenly, you notice someone else has also stopped at the bakery section and is eyeing the cake. Your cake! Driven by a sense of possessiveness, you grab the cake and head to the checkout while the other customer glares at you in protest. A further scenario, though unlikely, is that the other customer chases you to the parking lot, trying to snatch the cake back. Imagine the unwholesome behaviors that could ensue, possibly cursing or even fighting. But even without direct confrontation, your action causes the other person to develop an unwholesome mind and view you as greedy. Thus, your inner peace has been destroyed. Once craving arises in the mind, selfish and possessive actions inevitably follow. In pursuing even a small pleasure, like a piece of strawberry cake, we might act harshly and nearly create an enemy. When the craving is for something more significant, like someone's wealth, property, or engaging in immoral behavior, the consequences are more harmful, the violence more severe, and the resulting suffering can be unending. If we can reverse the cycle, starting from our negative actions and tracing back step by step to the mental and physical causes, we can eliminate suffering at its root. When desire and attachment are eradicated, completely uprooted, happiness is assured. We might not yet know how to achieve this, but recognizing what needs to be done is the beginning of our journey. Gradual practice. Now you can understand why we say that true happiness only comes when craving is eradicated. Even if you think that achieving the highest happiness is unrealistic, reducing craving can still bring many benefits. The more you can let go of craving, the easier it is to feel happiness. But how can you reduce craving? The mere thought of reducing craving, let alone eradicating it, might be discouraging. If you know that trying to push away desire through willpower alone is futile, you are very right. The Buddha offered a better solution: gradual practice following the Noble Eightfold Path. The step-by-step approach on the Buddha's path affects every aspect of life. This process can start at any time and place. You can begin from where you are and progress step by step. Each positive change in behavior or understanding builds on the previous steps. Among those who heard the Buddha's teachings, some had minds so receptive that they could attain complete happiness right after hearing the Buddha's step-by-step guidance for the first time. A few were so ready that merely hearing the profound teachings, the Four Noble Truths, led to their immediate liberation. However, most of the Buddha's disciples had to diligently practice the teachings, mastering each step before moving on to the next. Many took years to overcome obstacles in their understanding before they could progress to a higher level of insight. Most of us must exert significant effort to disentangle ourselves from self-harming behaviors and attitudes formed over many years. We must patiently and encouragingly follow the Buddha's gradual path of practice. Not everyone can grasp everything immediately. We all carry different past experiences and levels of dedication when it comes to spiritual development. The Buddha was a masterful teacher. He knew we need a clear understanding of the basics before grasping more advanced teachings. The Noble Eightfold Path to Happiness, as taught by the Buddha, consists of 3 progressive stages: morality, concentration, and wisdom. The first stage, morality, involves accepting certain basic values and living according to them. The Buddha understood that correct thinking, speaking, and acting according to moral principles are fundamental steps before advancing to higher spiritual development. But of course, we need some wisdom to know what ethics are. Therefore, the Buddha begins by helping us cultivate the basic level of right view, the first step, and right intention, the second step. These mental abilities help us distinguish between ethical and unethical thoughts and actions, between wholesome actions and those that harm ourselves and others. With the development of right view, we can begin to apply our newfound understanding by practicing right speech, the third step, right action, the fourth step, and right livelihood, the fifth step. Practicing these virtuous actions opens the mind, freeing it from obstacles, bringing joy and confidence. When the obstacles from negative actions begin to fade, concentration can develop. Concentration consists of 3 stages. The first is right effort, the 6th step, which helps the mind focus on each step of the path. Such efforts are particularly necessary when many unwholesome thoughts arise during meditation. Next is right mindfulness, the 7th step. Cultivating mindfulness requires complete attention at every moment, allowing us to control the mind's fluctuations. Right concentration, the 8th step, enables us to sustain uninterrupted attention on an object or thought. Because it is a positive state of mind, free from anger or attachment, concentration provides the mental strength needed to perceive our true situation deeply. With morality as the foundation, concentration develops. Through concentration, the 3rd stage on the Buddha's path, wisdom, grows. This brings us back to the first 2 steps, right view and right intention. We begin to experience wisdom blossoming in our actions. We recognize how we have created our own suffering. We see how our thoughts, words, and actions can harm ourselves and others. We confront our delusions and face life as it truly is. Wisdom illuminates the path out of the cycle of suffering. Although I have described the Buddha's path as a sequence of continuous stages, it actually operates in a cycle. Morality, concentration, and wisdom support and enhance each other. Each step on the Noble Eightfold Path also strengthens and develops the other steps. As you begin to practice the entire process, each step unfolds sequentially, and each virtuous action or insight propels you to the next step. On this path, you will undergo many transformations, particularly the tendency to blame others for your unhappiness. At each turn, you become more willing to take responsibility for your intentional thoughts, words, and actions. For example, as you apply your growing wisdom to understand ethical actions, you will more deeply appreciate the value of ethical thoughts and actions, leading to quicker changes in your behavior. Similarly, as you better see which mental states are helpful and which you need to let go of, you will apply your effort more effectively, resulting in deeper concentration and greater insight. Supporting your practice. As you begin to follow the Buddha's path, it is natural to want to change your lifestyle and behavior to support your practice. Here are some adjustments that can be very beneficial as you progress on the path. They will help you overcome the obstacles in your practice that you will need to address in the following chapters. Don't be discouraged. Some of these suggestions may present significant challenges that take a long time to overcome. Simplifying your life. It's best to begin by honestly evaluating your daily activities. Consider how you spend your time. Develop the habit of regularly asking yourself, is this task or activity truly necessary, or is it just a way to keep busy? If you can reduce or eliminate some activities, you will gain tranquility and peace, which are essential for progressing on the path of practice. You may currently have many responsibilities towards your family or others who depend on you. That is commendable, but be careful not to sacrifice opportunities for inner peace and the development of insight. Helping others is important, but as the Buddha clearly taught, prioritizing your own development is even more crucial. Cultivate the habit of setting aside some quiet time for yourself each day, rather than constantly being in the company of others. If all your time is spent with others, you are likely to get entangled in activities and trivial conversations. This makes it difficult to maintain mindful meditation practice. Regardless of your environment, if you wish to deepen your understanding and wisdom, you must occasionally pause your duties to spend time alone. Of course, external tranquility is not always sufficient. Even when alone in a quiet place, we may find ourselves overwhelmed by anger, jealousy, fear, anxiety, tension, craving, and doubt. Conversely, there are times when our minds are completely at peace, even in noisy, chaotic surroundings. The Buddha explained this paradox as follows. He taught that if we have little attachment or craving, we can live peacefully even in a crowd. We can let go of notions of possession or ownership. We cling to people we love, possessions, jobs, relationships, views, and opinions. By reducing this clinging, we move closer to inner freedom, which is the essence of tranquility. True peace resides in our minds. According to the Buddha, a person whose mind is free from the bonds of attachment and possession is one who lives alone. Conversely, a person whose mind is filled with desire, anger, and ignorance lives with company, even when they are physically alone. Therefore, the best support for our practice is a mind that has been trained. Some believe that traditional rituals help purify their minds and remind them of what is truly important. You and your family might pray together, burn incense, light candles, or offer flowers to a Buddha statue each day. While these simple, respectful rituals won't bring you enlightenment, they can serve as useful tools to prepare the mind for daily mindfulness practice. Cultivating self-discipline, a disciplined life, can be a source of happiness. Take a close look at your surroundings. If your bedroom is cluttered with dirty clothes, your desk is piled with books, papers, computer disks, and old newspapers, and last week's dishes are still in the kitchen, how can your mind be organized? Practice begins from the outside in. Clean up your living space first, then turn inward to clear the dust of greed, anger, and ignorance. Maintaining a healthy body also benefits your practice. Yoga or other forms of exercise contribute to a healthy mind. Make it a habit to walk at least once a day. Walking is both good exercise and an opportunity to practice mindfulness alone in silence. A balanced and moderate diet also supports spiritual practice. Eating a substantial breakfast, a moderate lunch, and a light dinner will make you feel better the next morning. There is an old saying, eat breakfast like an emperor, share lunch with friends, and give dinner to your enemy. However, I must add that you should do nothing to harm your enemy. Fast food, alcohol, coffee, and other stimulants make it difficult to concentrate. Eat to live, don't live to eat. Don't turn eating into a habit of mindlessness. Many practitioners who occasionally skip meals quickly realize that what they thought was hunger is often just habit. Finally, train yourself to meditate daily. Meditating every morning, right after you wake up, or every evening before you go to bed, will help you make progress. If you find it difficult to maintain a regular meditation practice, ask yourself why. You may still doubt the importance of meditation or fear that it won't help solve your problems. Examine your fears and doubts thoroughly. Read the life stories of the Buddha and those who have meditated to attain lasting happiness. Remember, only you can change your life for the better, and meditation has proven effective for countless people. Then, practice a bit of self-discipline, especially in the beginning, to maintain the routine of daily meditation. Cultivating wholesome mind states. Cultivating wholesome mind states, such as generosity, patience, faith, and other virtues, is the starting point in awakening spiritually. Generosity is taught by all religious traditions, but it is a state of mind that all beings inherently possess since time immemorial. Even animals share food with each other. When you know how to share, you feel joy, and you take great delight whenever you recall the happiness of the receiver. Additionally, it is important to develop patience. Being patient does not mean allowing others to abuse you freely. It means staying calm so you can express yourself effectively at the right time, in the right place, with the right words, and in the right manner. If you hastily blurt out something, you may regret what you have said or end up hurting others. Patience also means trying to understand others to the best of your ability. Misunderstandings, wrong assumptions, and doubts cause harm and dissatisfaction. Remember that others have as many problems as you do, possibly even more. Good people in unfortunate situations may say or do things without mindfulness. If you can remain calm despite being provoked, you can avoid frustration and develop a deeper empathy for others' circumstances. Strive not to blame others for your unhappiness or hope that others will bring you happiness. Look inward, discover why you are suffering, and find ways to overcome it. Unhappy people often cause others to suffer. But if you are surrounded by unhappy people, you can still maintain a peaceful mind by keeping your thoughts as pure as possible, and your patience and understanding might even make them happier. Finally, have faith in your ability to find lasting happiness. This includes having faith in the teachings of your religion, in yourself, in your work, in your friends, and in the future. Faith fosters an optimistic outlook on life. You can develop faith by observing your own experiences. You already have confidence in many of your abilities. Trust in the capabilities you have yet to realize. Finding a teacher and learning the teachings. A reputable meditation center and a meditation teacher who genuinely wants to help you are vital supports. You do not need a teacher who demands obedience or promises divine powers. Seek someone more knowledgeable than yourself, whose life is an example for you, and with whom you can develop a lasting positive relationship. Following the Buddha's path may take many years, in some cases several lifetimes. Choose your guide wisely. The Buddha described an ideal teacher as a good friend. Such a person speaks gently, compassionately, genuinely cares for and respects you. A good friend never asks you to do anything wrong, always encourages you to do what is right, and is ready to help when needed. A good friend is learned and knowledgeable, willing to share their understanding with you without hesitation. Observe a potential teacher carefully. Actions speak louder than words. Regular contact with someone who has been following the Buddha's path for at least 10 years is a good way to assess the effectiveness of their teachings. Just like a craftsman passing down skills to an apprentice, not only the technical aspects of the craft, but also the virtues needed to practice it. A good teacher guides you in your practice and helps you make necessary lifestyle changes to support your practice. If you genuinely seek happiness, be patient and diligent in studying with such a teacher. Then follow the step-by-step practice method described by the Buddha. The foundation of this step-by-step practice involves learning how to calm the mind, observing your thoughts and actions, and transforming them into tools for meditation and mindfulness. This process takes time and cannot be rushed. One reason many people give up meditation is that they do not take the time to build a solid foundation for effective practice. Finally, take the time to read and discuss the Buddha's teachings. There are many books available, as well as discussion groups and Dharma classes. You can also exchange ideas about the Buddha's teachings online or via email. Reading and discussing the Buddha's teachings is never a waste of time. These conditions for progress may seem mundane, but very few of us know how to live quietly, eat moderately, exercise regularly, and live simply. Even fewer people seek out a competent teacher, regularly engage with the Buddha's teachings, and meditate daily. While living simply and knowing contentment are emphasized here, it does not mean you cannot begin following the Buddha's path right now, regardless of your lifestyle. These suggestions merely highlight what you need to cultivate over the years, or sometimes lifetimes, to progress towards the highest happiness. The beginning of mindfulness practice. The lifestyle changes discussed in the previous pages serve one purpose: to help you integrate mindfulness into your life. Mindfulness is the sole method for cultivating awareness in each moment of the true nature of all phenomena, through contact with the body and mind. You may know it as Vipassana meditation. It is a skill you need to develop and utilize throughout all stages on the Buddha's path to happiness. Here are some tips to begin your Vipassana meditation practice. Sitting meditation. The best time to meditate is early in the morning before starting your daily activities. A quiet place is ideal, but since silence is rare in this world, you only need a suitable place for meditation and a comfortable cushion. Next, choose a meditation posture. The best but most difficult is the full lotus position. Cross both legs, placing your right foot on your left thigh and vice versa with the soles facing upward. Stack your hands in your lap, right over left, below the navel, and resting on your thighs to support your upper body. Keep your spine straight, vertebrae stacked like coins, with your chin slightly raised. If the full lotus is too challenging, opt for the half lotus. Place your right foot over your left thigh, or vice versa, with knees touching the floor. Lean forward slightly and push your knees back. If your knees don't touch the floor, place one shin over the bend of the opposite knee. You can also sit with one leg in front of the other, or on a small meditation stool, like those commonly found in meditation halls. If all these positions are difficult, you can sit on a regular chair. After choosing your position, sit up straight to allow your chest to expand easily as you breathe. Your posture should be natural and relaxed, not stiff. Select your posture carefully, as it's crucial not to change it until the end of your meditation session. Why is this important? Suppose you change your position because it's uncomfortable. Soon the new position also becomes uncomfortable, leading you to shift again and again throughout the session, instead of striving for a deeper level of concentration. Practice self-restraint and maintain your initial posture. Decide from the start how long you will meditate. If you've never meditated before, start with about 20 minutes. As you continue practicing, gradually increase the duration. This depends on how much time you have and how long you can sit without discomfort. When sitting, it's best to close your eyes. This helps you concentrate more easily. The mind before meditation is like a glass of muddy water. If you keep the glass still, the mud settles and the water becomes clear. Similarly, if you stay still, keep your body motionless, and focus on your meditation object, your mind will settle and you'll begin to experience the joy of meditation. Dealing with pain. Suppose you have followed the instructions about postures and are now sitting in meditation in the most comfortable position. But soon, you will realize that the comfort has disappeared. Then pain sets in, and you lose your initial determination, patience, and enthusiasm to meditate. This can be discouraging, but rest assured that the discomfort is largely due to a lack of practice. It will lessen over time, and you will find that you can endure it more easily. So let the discomfort become a sign to reignite your determination to practice. If the pain arises from a physical condition like a slipped disc or an old injury, you should change your sitting position, perhaps move to a chair. However, if you feel pain in a normally healthy part of your body, I suggest the following approach. The most effective yet difficult way to deal with pain is to observe it. Immerse yourself in the pain, be present with it. Feel it without thinking of it as my pain, my knee, my neck. Just observe the pain closely to see what happens to it. Initially, the pain may intensify, causing fear. For example, your knee may hurt so much that you fear your leg will become gangrenous and need to be amputated, making you wonder how you could live with just one leg. Don't be afraid. I have never seen anyone lose a leg because of meditation. When the pain you are observing reaches its peak, if you can endure it a bit longer, say 5 more minutes, you will find that the excruciating, potentially life-threatening pain starts to fade. The painful sensation will turn neutral, and you will discover that even pain is impermanent. You can use a similar method for psychological pain, such as guilt or a horrifying memory. Don't try to push the pain away. Embrace it. Be present with it, even with the terrifying scenes replaying in your mind. Don't get carried away by fantasies. Just continue to observe the mental pain to see it gradually break apart, just like physical pain. When the breakthrough happens, the pain vanishes, and you may feel a great sense of relief, peace, and relaxation. Of course, physical pain or painful memories might reappear, but once you've broken through that physical or psychological pain, it will never return with the same intensity. And next time you meditate, you will be able to sit longer before the pain arises. The second method to deal with pain is to compare it with the pains you have experienced in your life. The current pain, although it seems enormous right now, is just a small part of the pains you have endured, and you have survived worse. Also, remember the subtle suffering that constantly haunts you day and night. Compared to those pains, the small pain in your leg is nothing. It is worth enduring because it will help you overcome greater pains in life. This pain is like a small thorn in your hand. Removing the thorn hurts more, but you must endure it to avoid greater pain later. Similarly, you can endure the meditation pain to help you escape greater afflictions in the future. Another method is to think about the pain others are enduring. Many people are currently suffering from physical or mental pains due to illness, hunger, exposure, separation from loved ones, and other serious problems. Remind yourself that compared to those sufferings, your pain is not so bad. The fourth method is to ignore the pain. Deliberately focus on your breath. To help you stay with your breath, you can take a few quick breaths. My final suggestion when all else fails is to move mindfully. Slowly move your muscles to see if the pain lessens with the slightest change in position. If you have back pain, remember that leaning forward will strain your back. If you feel tension in your back, first use your mind to observe your posture, relax, and then gently straighten your back. Pain in the knees or ankles requires special care, as you don't want to harm the ligaments. If you think the pain is due to the ligaments, first try mindfully stretching the muscles above and below the joint without moving or changing your sitting position. If that doesn't help, gently move your leg just enough to relieve the tension on the ligaments. You may wonder why endure such pain. I meditate to eliminate suffering. Why should I endure more suffering while meditating? Remember, this is a type of suffering that can lead to the eradication of all other sufferings. When you mindfully observe the pain as it arises and then subsides and feel the pleasure that follows its disappearance, you gain confidence in your ability to endure pain. More importantly, because this pain experience is voluntary and intentional, it is an effective method of self-discipline. You will be able to endure greater pains in life. Be patient. Maybe you have never meditated before, or you only practice occasionally. Perhaps you are used to sitting in chairs or sofas. Naturally, you will feel pain when you first meditate on the floor. Have you ever climbed a mountain or ridden a horse? Do you remember how your body felt the first time and how sore you were the next day? However, if you climb mountains or ride horses every day, you soon become proficient and no longer feel pain. Meditation is the same. You just need to practice regularly every day and stick to your sitting position. Pay attention. A good way to calm the mind is to focus on your breath. The breath is always present. You don't need to struggle to find it because it is always moving in and out at the nose. The breath is also not dependent on emotions, thoughts, or any choices. Paying attention to the breath is an effective way to cultivate a neutral state of mind. You should begin each meditation session with loving kindness, metta. Some people can easily generate loving kindness for all beings. However, usually, you need a method to do this. Start with yourself and then gradually expand your loving kindness to include all beings. I recommend reciting the following prayer, silently in your mind or aloud. May I be healthy, happy, and peaceful. May I be free from obstacles, harm, and difficulties, always successful. May I have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to overcome and manage the inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. Then, repeat the prayer, replacing I with other terms, starting with your parents. May my parents be healthy, happy, and peaceful. May they be free from harm, and so on. Next, repeat the passage for your teachers. May my teachers be healthy. Then for your relatives and friends. For neutral people, those you neither love nor hate. For your enemies, and finally, for all beings. This simple practice will help you concentrate during meditation and also help you overcome any anger that might arise while you are meditating. Next, take 3 deep breaths. As you inhale and exhale, note the rising and falling sensations in the abdomen, upper, lower, and chest. Inhale deeply to inflate all 3 areas of the body. Then breathe normally, letting the breath flow naturally, gently, without effort, focusing on the sensation at the nose as the breath goes in and out. Most people find it easier to note the breath at the nose. However, some prefer to focus on the sensation as the breath exits on the lips, inside the nose, or in the nasal cavity, depending on the structure of their face. Once you have chosen a place to focus on, just note the sensation of the breath, in and out at that point. When focusing on the breath, you will notice the beginning, middle, and end of each inhalation and each exhalation. You don't need to exert much effort to recognize these 3 stages of the breath. When an inhalation is complete and before the exhalation begins, there is a brief pause. Note it and note the start of the exhalation. When the exhalation is complete, there is also a short pause before the inhalation begins. Note this. These pauses occur so quickly that you might not notice them at first, but with mindfulness you will recognize them. Initially, both inhalation and exhalation may be long. Note that without thinking or saying, long inhalation, long exhalation. When you note the sensation of long breaths, your body becomes quite calm. Then your breath may become shorter. Note how the short breaths feel, again without saying, short breath. Then note the entire process of the breath from beginning to end. Now the breath may have become smooth. The body and mind become more tranquil than before. Note this feeling of tranquility and peace. Although you try to focus on the breath, your mind may wander. You may find yourself recalling places you have been, people you have met, friends you haven't seen in a while, a book you read long ago, or the taste of a meal you had yesterday. As soon as you realize your mind is no longer on the breath, bring it back and anchor it there mindfully. Some people use the method of naming the events happening in their mind while meditating. For example, a meditator might note thinking and say in their mind, thinking, thinking, thinking. When hearing a sound, they might think, hearing, hearing, hearing. I do not recommend this method. The events you want to name may occur too quickly for you to name them. Naming takes time. Time for the thought to arise or the sensation to occur. Time to find the word to describe what you are aware of. You cannot name something while it is happening. You can only name it after it has happened. Just observe them as they occur and note them. That is enough. Mindfulness trains you in direct awareness. It helps you eliminate intermediaries such as words or concepts. Concepts and words appear after awareness to help you express thoughts and feelings. However, in meditation, you do not need to express anything to anyone. You just need to know that seeing is just seeing, hearing is just hearing, touching is just touching, knowing is just knowing. That is enough. 1 minute of mindfulness. When you leave your meditation cushion, make a commitment to dedicate 1 minute every hour to meditation throughout the day. You might wonder what you can achieve in 1 minute. It's not enough time to even find a meditation seat. Don't worry about finding a seat. Stay right where you are, whether you are sitting, standing, or lying down. It doesn't matter. Spend 59 minutes of each hour doing whatever you do during the day. But for 1 minute of each hour, stop whatever you are doing and meditate. You can set your watch or computer to beep every hour as a reminder. When you hear the signal, pause your work, clear your mind of any thoughts, and close your eyes. Focus on your breath. If you don't know how long a minute is, inhale and exhale 15 times, focusing entirely on your breath. If it takes longer than a minute, don't worry about it. You have nothing to lose. When a minute has passed, before you open your eyes, make a commitment to meditate for 1 more minute in the next hour, and so on throughout the day. Look forward to that moment and create a sense of anticipation for it. Ask yourself, when will I get to meditate again? If you maintain this simple method, by the end of the day, you will have added 10 or 15 minutes of meditation. Moreover, by the end of the day, the desire to meditate, strengthened by thinking about it every hour, will inspire you to meditate before going to bed. End the day with about half an hour of sitting meditation. When you go to bed, focus on your breath until you fall asleep. If you wake up in the middle of the night, return your mind to your breath. When you wake up the next morning, with your mind still focused on your breath, remind yourself to start the day with a sitting meditation session.